This is Aaron Squire, and I'm doing another dev blog here. Seemed like as good a time as any. Only get so much break in the action, as it were, with the kids are asleep right now. So it is 5/24, 2014, and so I just want to start off and say that on Monday I was pretty excited about trying to do some pinball. I just wanted to do functionality with the flippers, making the flippers work to knock the ball around, and couldn't really get that to work with Unity. And so I did at least draw a pinball-esque landscape, and you can kind of see like Unity already has gravity built in, and a lot of the other stuff. So you can see that I have something built, and actually even just constructing this was kind of difficult. What I did to do this was I created a plane, I doubled the plane, married them together, and then I have all these cubes, and it just seems like it's a big giant mess. The flippers are 2 cubes. I had to do a lot of like lining everything up, and it was just a big giant mess. Another thing I found out when I'm working with Unity is that if you take a cube and if I just change the dimensions of it to make it big enough to sit on the board, then on this pinball board, when I marry it up, like its 1-to-1 ratio gets all jacked up. So I'll just show you that real quick. We'll go ahead and we'll make a cube here. Let's see, game object, create other, and we come down here and make a cube. And so our cube is right here, right? Actually, it's a pretty big cube. I don't know why it's so big, but you can see. Okay, so you can see it. Actually, it's actually closer to us. Okay, that's what's happening. If it looks big, but it's just because it's close to us. So let's say that I wanted to make this cube like. Let's say I wanted to make it like 3 units. So I'm going to make it 3 by 3. Hit enter. Actually, we'll just make it 3 units all the way around, right? So it's a lot bigger than the other cubes. It might be hard to tell actually. Hold on, let's see. Let's see, is it bigger than the other cubes? No, it doesn't look like it took. I'm not sure why it's a scale thing. Oh yeah, I did it by scale, that's why. That was the box collider. Yeah, we don't care about that actually. Let's just control Z that stuff. Back. Okay, so so we'll make it 3. Let's make it like 5. So I'm gonna make it 5, and so hopefully we would hope that it would stay about this size for the board, but as soon as I take this cube and I parent it to the pinball machine, it should, well, it kept its dimensions, but like I was having some real problems with this. It's better to just marry them up first and then scale them. You can see that at least the dimensions are pretty close. Like it gets pretty bad. But anyway, so I was having a lot of problems with that, so kind of like gave up on this project. I also did a little bit of playing with it in. No, I'm not gonna. Ugh. Opening file failed. Okay, well that's fine. We'll force quit. So I did some playing around with processing and built the same like construct in there, and things just kind of like I kind of had myself pulled in different directions this week. So I did manage to enroll in college. So I've got a bachelor's of it's basically a computer science degree that I'll be working on at Trident University. So I'm excited to start working on that. I picked the course specifically because it had 2 object-oriented portions of it. On top of that, I went ahead and took the plunge. Right now, Hobby Game Dev, Chris marked his product down to $200 instead of being $250, so it's a great time to buy it. So I had to jump on that, otherwise I would have been on it already. But it was like the preliminary before he had brought it out. He had the $200 deal, and I guess he's in the middle of moving right now. So went ahead and did that, and really happy that I did. Been going through some of his videos, and so there's the brick breaker one, but one that I recently did was this one with all the bouncing balls, and of course you can find this on his thing. So this is basically working on array lists. So like we can add more balls if we want to by just changing one of these variables. I just have to remember which one it is. I believe it is int random. That's randomly moving them around. He also put gravity on here, so that was some of the problems I was running into with the pinball machine, was the gravity and some other things. Let's see, that's giving it gravity. there's a number on here where it is that it actually, where is it? I can't see where it is right now. New ball. I swear there's a thing where it talks about the number. There's one of these variables that you can change, and it'll add more balls to the thing. I think I've only got 20 up there right now. It's less than 50. Maybe it's this. Yeah, I've got 50. So maybe if it's this one. So I think it's this one. So we'll find out here. There's 1,000. Yeah, so that was the variable right there. We have to change it in the for loop. So that was pretty fun, little project. The main thing that I got out of it was doing this array list and finding out exactly how to pass things into arrays. This is going to be very important as I want to kind of move into like an RPG type of game set. So, obviously making Ogre Battle, you're going to have lots of stats, so you want to have a type character for that and be able to pass it into an array and have multiple different characters within that array, and then it has to keep track and save off stats and do different things to that effect. So that's going to be, this was a very important lesson for me. Beyond that, this morning, what I did was I started working on kind of like just some RPG like mechanics with kind of like RTS RPG mechanics. So all I've done is I've drawn this ball, and I want to be able to, the object here is to move this ball, have it connect with these. These are going to be like houses, and when it connects with them, they'll turn red. So right now, just to do that, like I have it, so if I left click out here, nothing happens, and if I left click inside the block, nothing happens. But if I right click, it turns red. It's turning this one red too, because I haven't set the boundaries for that. This is another good time when I can go back to this previous lesson and start working on building like types again, and so that it will just simply look up the type and look up the boundaries for it, and I don't have to create boxes for every single building I decide to put in a game, for instance. And so I guess I'm kind of like building an engine to be able to play a game and build a game on top of that. So pretty good week this week overall. Had that minor failure, a little bit of setback at the beginning of the week, but that's how things go, and that's how you grow. That was probably the biggest thing this week. You know, if you want to look through the code, I mean, there's not a lot to what I've done here. So I've got basically, I don't even have anything in these functions. It's everything that I just did is right here on this left side, and that's about it. So just really enjoying the hobby game dev material that I'm going through, and it's really giving me insight on exactly what to do. Like I busted this out, and I only had to look a couple of things out. I'm getting a really good accustomed to doing some of the early easy programming stuff. Like every time I open a compiler, the first thing I do is do a void setup, a void draw, put in the size of the screen that I want. I did some math on that. I figured out that what I'm going to want to do is stamp out some sort of background for this eventually. So I've got text files that I got from RPG Maker where I'm going to probably stamp out a background here, where right now it's all green, you know, like grass or something. But eventually, like I have a plenty of icons that I can throw in there. And I looked at a little bit at doing pixel art and maybe changing the icons and that type of thing. So that'll be down the road, though. That'll be basically taking image files, feeding them in, which is another thing that Chris did in his tutorials that I looked at this week. I'm trying to think of what the other tutorial is. Oh, so the other tutorial that I did this week was the wire mesh one. Let's see, is that one? Is it this one? No, that's programming 4. Did the wire mesh one. No, that's just a brick break one. I think I have to load it here, so we'll just load this real quick. Yeah, lesson 5. So this one was pretty interesting as well. This was talking about how to basically draw lines and stuff, which is also going to be important. You have this cat. Here's some words. They kind of hover around. How to draw the cat thing, and you can draw, and the squiggly lines are moving around. So another interesting thing that he did this week. The lines are important, though. The lines are going to be important because that's going to be another part of working with like a game like Ogre Battle, because you had the characters like this guy, and when you clicked on this, it would draw a line to it. and maybe put a flag up, and then the guy would start moving towards it. So that's another thing that I'm going to have to work on. It can't instantly move from like here to here. I have to increment the movement of the ball, which we've done with ball movement exercises before. So basically all that has to happen is I need to set a point with with some sort of a flag, and then the ball will start incrementally moving towards it at a set speed. So yeah, that's pretty much all I went over this week. Really happy with my purchase of Hobby Game Dev's material. I would suggest that anyone that is trying to get into programming like I am and trying to do game programming specifically, a lot of good object-oriented stuff, a lot of baseline stuff. I would also suggest, if you haven't done a lot of work in programming or other things and you want to do Unity 3D, start working in 2D. I'm finding 2D to be a lot easier than 3D because there's just less variables to worry about when you're worried about a 2D space. I mean, with 3D space, you have a Z coordinate instead of just X and Y. You have X, Y, and Z, which just adds more work, really, until it is that you get a good handle on setting up your functions and your variables and different things like that. Like right now, I don't have functions that set down these two buildings, these black squares, which are going to be buildings. I have them manually set, and manually setting, like I found out for that pinball machine, all the different squares and lining them up and doing all of that was just a big pain. Another problem I ran into with Unity 3D was just having 3D rendered objects, and I haven't really looked around, honestly, on the internet for a lot of free ones or anything like that to work with. But you know, that's just another issue, whereas it can be a lot easier, I think, to find assets that are two-dimensional or little sprites, or it's okay. It feels a little bit more okay to have these boxes, although you can do the same thing in Unity 3D, where it is that you have boxes representing buildings, and then later on you can change the graphics for them and then set boundaries and do all that stuff. So yeah, so that's what I did this week on my programming work. And I think things are going to change. I think I'll be starting this class in, I don't know, maybe 2 months, 2 or 3 months, something like that. I missed this semester, so I should be on next semester. And something like maybe 13 or 14 classes is what I'll need to have a bachelor's degree in computer science, which seems pretty good to me because that is one of the standards of the industry. So yeah, if you have any questions for me, you can go ahead and post below. I'm not sure that I'll be able to answer them, but and as always, this is Aaron Squire signing off, saying God bless you and your families. Try not to rage too much out there.